Indigo Books and Music continues to work on recovering from a cybersecurity incident. Customers visiting the store's website are being greeted with an error page today. The retailer says third-party experts are investigating to help resolve the situation, which started yesterday. Indigo customers can still shop in person, but stores are currently only able to process cash transactions. And for more on this incident, we are joined by Claudio Popa, a certified cybersecurity and privacy expert and CEO of Data Risk Canada. So Claudio, thank you, first of all, for joining me.
Thanks for having me on the show.
So we're seeing Indigo, as I just mentioned. Yesterday we saw Twitter was down for a while. There was a hospital, Ross Memorial, near Peterborough, that also suffered a data breach yesterday. Why does it look like cyber attacks are increasing?
Because they actually are. So what we're seeing is a sense of urgency from cyber criminals. They are seeing legislation change. They're seeing the laws tighten around them. They're seeing businesses tighten up their security. And they're also seeing insurance companies refusing to insure businesses unless they have proper security in place. All this means there's less business for cyber criminals to have and to split amongst themselves. So they're ramping up the intensity, they're increasing the urgency, and they are asking for even more money in ransoms while they still have time, because at this time next year, things will be different.
Interesting. On that note, then, about asking for money in ransoms, should businesses in certain situations be paying those ransoms?
I believe so. So I typically advise businesses to do whatever is in their power to limit the risk to victims. If they are holding on to personal information that has been stolen, that has been posted online, that has been accessed without authorization, well, that's a significant risk of identity theft, of fraud, of intimidation. There are all sorts of threats that could befall those victims, and unfortunately, the soonest that they can regain control of that data, the better it is for those victims. So yeah, if they have to pay, they should pay, but don't just willy-nilly pay for obviously when there's no risk or no threat to personal information.
Mm-hmm. What about customers? I think back to the incident that happened back in December, at the end of December, I think, with the LCBO, and people were getting notified about this. Should people be worried when they get like a data breach letter?
They should. So they should take it seriously. I realize that practically everyone has seen some of these data breach letters. Everyone has been part of a data leak or some kind of a hack, and they've been notified. They've received a letter that says, sorry about the inconvenience. We don't have evidence that your information is being abused, and here's some credit for monitoring your identity and making sure that your financial information, at least, is not being abused. In all of those cases, people should care about how they store their passwords, how many passwords they have, because they really should be using passwords, different passwords on different sites, never reuse a password from one site to the next. And they need to have some sort of not just credit monitoring, but monitoring of their identity. So for example, there's a website called haveibeenpwned.com where they can check how many data breaches they've been part of that are known.
Interesting. Just before we say goodbye, Claudio, I do want to switch gears and just talk to you about something else, because I know you can speak about this, and that's the Chinese spy balloon that was shot down over the U.S. last week. Does that actually count, that incident, as a cyber attack or a security breach, do you think?
I don't think so. I think that's certainly an espionage. It's certainly a diplomatic incident. It's certainly something that has to do with, well, let's try this show of force. And let's see whether, we can do some spying from the air, and let's see if they dare shoot us down. In fact, they dared to shoot down the balloon. It's not a cyber espionage incident, but there's no shortage of those. And unfortunately, here in Canada, over the past decade, we've certainly had our fair share of cyber intelligence and spying incidents of a cyber nature. The balloon is not one of them, but it's certainly a sign of the times, and I think we're going to see more of that type of event, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, but also very interesting to speak with you about this. Claudio, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
That's Claudia Popa, cybersecurity and privacy expert and CEO of Data Risk Canada.